Hey guys, this is Russ, and this is She Wolf Alchemy, and this is our weekly check-in. Today, we're talking about, as Cat Williams put it, having a unnatural alliance to losers. We're talking about those people you might have loved, supported, defended, poured into, and it got absolutely no return on investment from. And before we go on and listen, don't get offended because I'm not saying a loser is a person that's struggling. I'm talking about a loser as in someone who refuses to rise, someone who sits comfortably in their own mess and expects you to bring snacks. So let's talk about what is a loser therapeutically speaking, right? Because I want to be clear, I'm not trying to shame anybody, but we're talking about loser mentality, loser patterns, right? From this sense, we're saying someone who chronically refuses growth. Not that they can't grow, they simply won't. They're allergic to accountability. Everything is everybody else's fault. They always got a reason why they had to do that thing that they should not have done. They come with a lot of sorries, but not a lot of change behaviors. This is someone who drains without replenishing. I'm talking about emotionally, I'm talking about financially, energetically, spiritually. When you're dealing with the loser, you always feel heavier dealing with them. And a lot of times what I see when this happens is we try to convince ourselves, right, if they're going through a hard time, they've never been properly loved before. And here's the thing, several people have loved them. I have loved them, right? And had to realize this is a bucket with a hole in it. No matter how much I pour, all that I pour into this person is just going to drain out. They know there's a hole. I even offer them putty to fix it. They don't want it to be fixed. And so what usually happens is someone eventually gives up on them and then they go find another source and they come with their sob story and they come with their I'm so broken. And they convince the people around them, lovers, family, friends, that if you just give me a chance, we just give me grace, I will do better. Just nobody is there for me. And then every single one of them eventually finds out that no, you've been given enough grace. You've been given enough care and love. You've been given enough chances. You don't want to be better. You are comfortable in this mess. This is somebody who benefits from your instability. When you heal, their access shrinks. When you're tired, they tend to thrive, to be honest, because your confusion is their comfort zone. Confusion allows them to play. It allows them to play in your face. It allows them to say, look, sis, uh, you've always been the one that's been better at taking care of mine. It allows them to put more things on your back as they back away burden free. This is someone whose life only moves forward when other people push it, when you push it. You're the pacemaker, you're the Wi Fi, you're the generator in their life. You're not just a person who cares for them, you're literally maintaining them. So, why do we form these alliances with losers? Well, I personally think there's a couple of reasons. I'm not gonna get through all of them, but there is five that I think stands out. The first one being there's some type of trauma bonding going on, and it's masquerading as loyalty. If you grew up in a household that taught you that love is earned through labor, then yeah, projects are gonna feel familiar. Chaos is gonna feel like home. Fixing is going to feel like foreplay. But then you might ask yourself, well, I mean, did I grow up in a household that felt like this? Well, think about it this way. If you grew up in a household where it felt like I had to perform, whether that was a performance in my grades, the way I carried myself, the way I looked, if it felt like there was a certain role I had to play if I wanted my parents to outwardly praise me, love me, or show me affection. Like even when I didn't do those things, maybe you still knew they loved you, but you knew their actions were different when you played by those rules. And I don't mean rules like clean up your room and like do a basic job, but sometimes those rules can look like, hey, we are supposed to look like the Huxtables. I need you to act perfect. And if you're not acting perfect, well, I'm not talking. I'm not disowning you. I might talk bad about you in front of the rest of the family, poke at you, make you feel insecure. This can also look like a parent who really almost depended on you like you were the parent. Like you were the one always checking up on them. You were the one that was always taking care of their needs. Hell, sometimes it might even felt like you were their therapist. It can come out a couple of different ways, but if I learn that I am lovable because the things that I do for people, that's what makes me lovable. Then when a project that's going to take Bob the Builder to fix comes along, well, it makes us feel all tingly inside. I think another way that these alliances form is like when your self-worth has basically been discontinued. You'll align yourself with people beneath you when you don't believe you deserve people on your level. And you might have seen it. You might have a homegirl, a cousin, an auntie, or this might have been you, where it's like, damn, she is so beautiful and she's so smart and she's so funny and she's so amazing. And when you see who she dates or who we've dated, it's one big question mark. You are the charismatic one in the relationship. The man has no personality. You are the one keeping things together. Having him is not a benefit. If anything, it is a deficit. But maybe he's like really tall, right? Or maybe it's like, girl, he is so good in bed, but like you deserve more. And I want to be very clear, by the way, it just doesn't have to be those things. Sometimes it can be the opposite. It could be a guy with money. It could be a guy who like to trick, but like he's not very nice to you, or he treats her very disposably. She in a relationship. I'm not sure he knows that he's in a relationship, but if I think that's the best I can do, or that's what I'm worth, then yep, there's a high chance you're gonna end up aligning yourself with losers. The same thing can go with those who struggle with savior complex. You love being a strong one. Their brokenness validates your competence. And there's a little part of you that feels a little bit chosen, one needed. Now, this one I really want to stop and clarify on because my ladies, especially my people in helping persons fields, particularly, I mean, it can be any fields, but this is something I definitely see with my nurses, my social workers, my counselors, my caretakers. And the thing is, I don't think consciously this is seen as like, oh, I have a savior complex. But like there is a repeated pattern of you being the strong friend, you being the strong daughter, you being the strong son, you being the strong girlfriend, you being the strong mom, you being strong. You just exude strength in all areas. You are the go-to person. And so a lot of times what can sometimes happen is our wires get crossed and we start feeling like, the thing that makes me feel good about myself is how good I am to others, is how competent I am. And so when you have this, especially when you're unaware, you can slowly start finding yourself attracted to people who need you because it makes you feel good about yourself. It validates things about you to you. But the problem with this is long term, savior roles just turn into self sacrifice cosplay. Savior roles just turn into a pattern of self sacrifice. Another one I see here is people making mistakes for potential for compatibility. Like I told you guys, I definitely got this trap when I was younger. When I was younger, I was dating somebody, and this person was actually older than me. I was in my 20s. I was in my early 20s. They were in their 30s. And they're a very smart person, like very, very intelligent and great conversationist, very charismatic when they wanted to be. And I was very aware that their actual behaviors of who they were on a regular basis right then, I actually was not a fan of, but I kept being like, he just need to be molded. Keep in mind, I'm the one that's like 23. They're like 29, 30 at this point. But like in my head, I was really like, okay, but we do have some compatibility stuff, and they can just like, I can just get him to use his brains for good. and get him to focus. The man just ain't focused. If I get this man to just focus. And honestly, in my situation, all that did is turn into resentment for me because I kept being like, you have all this potential. And I kept thinking about all the things I would do with that potential, then get frustrated when they did not do those things with potential. And I will say it wasn't me leading myself on here. This person was actively telling me, like, yes, I'm going to do these things with this potential. They never did those things with those potential. But if they got a little bit of like funniness and they're tall and, you guys got some compatibility on one level, and then, there's some stuff you're really sorry, I ain't, but you're like, but you know what? With a little bit of work, well, pause yourself. Especially us in our 30s and 40s, pause yourself. If that person has potential, but you don't ever see them do anything with that potential, they are actively choosing that. And if they're in their 30s and their 40s, you're not the first person to try to push them to use that potential. You're not the first one to try to love them into using that potential. This is a person who is actively choosing not to do it. And if you want to waste your time convincing them, baby, I can't stop you. But I can warn you that a lot of times it is a lot of you pouring out and not getting the same return. And then the last one I'm going to talk about, that fifth one is sometimes some of us struggle with thinking that struggle equals soulmate. If you are trained through and by trauma, you can confuse chemistry with my nervous system recognizing a pattern from my childhood. Y'all heard me say this on several episodes. Sometimes you meet a person and you're like, oh my gosh, he feels like home. Okay, but what did home actually feel like? Like, was home a safe place? What, like, oh my gosh, he gives me butterflies. Like, but is he giving you butterflies or is that man giving you anxiety? Sometimes we struggle, especially if you're not a person who practices normally being in touch with your feelings. And when I say that is when I'm feeling a certain way, right? I know I'm anxious. I know I'm feeling tight in my chest and my hands are going a little bit numb and I feel like I got to rock. Okay, I might recognize that, but are you a person who I just leave that there and go, I need to get up. I need to go talk to somebody. I need to go do something. Or are you a person that's like, okay, what am I feeling? Okay, I'm feeling anxious. I'm feeling overwhelmed. I'm feeling scared. I'm feeling nervous. Okay, what are the things that are making us feel scared and nervous? Well, I got this big meeting coming up tomorrow. Okay, and what about that meeting? Well, I don't know what to expect. I'm scared. I have no idea if I'm walking out this place with a job or not. I don't think I have the money saved up if they do fire me to make it in this economy. And I know so many people out here who are struggling and they can't find jobs and they've been looking for months. And I'm really just feeling uncertain about my financial future. Okay, that's what it really is. Yes, we can say I feel overwhelmed, but let's break it down. But if you're not a person who's in touch with your feelings in that way, right? Then it's very easy to, again, confuse, dang, he gave me butterflies with what it actually is, which is, dang, this man gives me anxiety. I don't feel like I can breathe around him. Not, oh, he takes my breath away. No, I don't feel like I can breathe around him. Not, she really knocks me off my feet. Is you never know where you stand with this woman. If I'm trauma trained, I can confuse anything for chemistry. And here's the truth of the matter. Sometimes aligning yourself with a loser comes with benefits. Let's be honest. Sometimes we feel safe in predictability. There's safety in the fact that this person will not ever outgrow me. There may be safety in the fact that this person will never expose me. It might be safety in the fact this person will never challenge me. They're comfortable, not because they're good, but because they don't require you to evolve. And sometimes that feels safe. Sometimes it's about emotional control. You find safety in control. You found safety in, you can't really throw me too much of a loop. You find safety in you low key need me. I don't really got to worry about you doing too much because you require me to maintain. Sometimes it's nice because they are a distraction from your own calling. Some of us have very big callings on our lives and it feels scary. It feels terrifying. It feels like, yo, all I wanted was my little house with a picket fence and 2.5 children. I wanted a partner. And I just want to live a nice, normal life. And that person helps you stay in that place where you don't have to change. You can just settle for that. And not to say that there's anything wrong with that, but for some people, you are being called to do more, to want more, to be more. But you can't do that if you're busy fixing someone else all the time. And if I'm so busy fixing someone else all the time, I don't have to face the scary truth, which is my own life is waiting for me to rise. We can both sit here comfortably in this bullshit. And you have superficial reasons. Sometimes they're really good in bed. And like I had a conversation with a homegirl, like this was years ago. This was years and years ago. But they were dating someone who was horrible. This was this absolutely horrible person. And none of us got it. None of us got their appeal because we were just like, their personality is like dry pay. They're not your type physically. They say really weird, off-putting things. They're not that smart. They weren't faithful. They weren't honest. Like it was just all the honest. And then they weren't good at hiding that they weren't faithful and they weren't good at hiding that they weren't honest. We could not get it. And I remember her sitting and telling us, like, I deserve good sex. I done put up with the nice guys. I done put up with the smart guys. I done put up with the funny guys that can't make me orgasm, and I'm at a point in my life where I just want good sex for a little while. And as much as, like, at the time we kinda laughed, but, like, that is a thing that will keep people stuck, especially if you're a person where you're like, "I already got all my shit together. I got it my own. I don't really need you for anything, but what I do need, that can be one as well." And I think another one, kinda going back to that distraction from your own calling is sometimes being around people with small lives that do small things justifies me living a smaller version of myself and my truth. And I can feel comfortable in my bullshit around you because you're never going to call me out on my bullshit because my bullshit looks great to you. And so let's sit here and not grow together. But there always comes a moment where this is going to become a problem. Eventually, you're going to exceed your capacity because empathy is a gift, but it is a gift that can be overdrafted. And when you start noticing things like your life is moving slower because you got to drag this person with you, at some point, your homegirls, your homeboys, your cousins, your family, someone, if not you, your very self, notice like, yo, you're not even walking anymore. You're dragging. You are struggling. You're not even going uphill. You're going on a straight, flat path with this person. And you still got to drag them. After a while, your default will be dimming your goals to accommodate somebody else's dysfunction. And if dimming becomes your default, you are not in love. You are in emotional quicksand. Because when you confuse loyalty with self neglect, calling it ride or die, but you're the only one that's riding, guess what? You're the only one that dies as well. And they don't show up to the funeral. And they'll be nowhere to be found at your funeral. So you might be asking yourself, like, okay, well, okay, how do I know if losers are my type? Because like I've dated some like BS people, but like I wouldn't call them losers. I wouldn't say I have an unnatural alliance to losers. Well, ask yourself, do I always fall for people who need me? Because love should not feel like unpaid labor. Do I bond with people's wounds before I really get to know their character? Do I attract people with no direction, no stability, and no emotional literacy? Do I feel uncomfortable around people who have their life really, really together? And do I stay loyal to people who, damn, you're still the same from when I first met you? You don't really evolve. If you are growing and the person with you is stagnant, that's not partnership. That's an anchor. And all that anchor does is make you flow in that same area, the same spot, out in the middle of the ocean, going nowhere. So, what do you do if this is your type? Well, first, identify where you first learned to earn love. And then you reteach yourself what is love in the healthiest sense of the word. If I see love as exhaustion, then maybe I need to go read up and learn about love as freedom. How do I practice love as freedom? How do I practice love without need of power and control? Upgrade your inner baseline for what you deserve. Your nervous system needs a new normal. If every partner makes you feel anxious, that is a you thing. You need to work when, why do I attach anxiously when it comes to love? And learn how to love in a secure way, letting people meet you where you are. Don't shrink yourself to fit the room. Make the room step up. Let go of the guilt of outgrowing people. It's okay to leave some people where you found them. That's not betrayal. That is just honesty. There's sometimes we have friends in our life who, yep, we've known them since kindergarten, but we are in different ways. We are 34 and they're still the same way they were back in high school. It's okay to recognize that I love this person, but this person keeps me in bullshit and shenanigans, and I don't want that for me. And when you're going out and meeting new people, stop auditioning for roles in those new people's lives. If I feel the need to impress, if I feel the need to put on a mask, if I feel the need to put on a cape, if I have to show up and do for them, that's not a connection that you have to keep investing in. Learn when an investment is a lost cause. The only thing wrong with your love life is the fact that you keep recruiting from the loser pool. But healing is choosing partners who can stand next to you instead of hanging around your ankle as you drag them forward with you. So I don't care if you've never been with a winning team before, but you deserve to be with the winning team going forward. And my suggestion is, as we are deciding to stop pledging ourselves and having an unnatural alliance lose us, that we now take that time to plug into better self-love, better self-help, better self-understanding and grace. So you can start aligning with the people who you are destined to align with. As I said, today was just a check-in. I know I've been saying check-in like the last two episodes, and both of them have been like 30, 40, 50 minutes long. But your girl's a Gemini. She likes to talk. But today I do think this should be only like 15 minutes long. This felt like it was a genuine check-in. I hope you guys enjoy. I'm going to have a new episode for you guys next week. And actually, I just realized I had some unreleased episodes for me and some of the other She Wolf ladies that I found. So I might actually be releasing some of those throughout the next couple of weeks as well. Either way, be sure to follow us on Instagram at She Wolf Alchemy. And you hear the sound of my voice on a new episode next week. Bye.